Hi, welcome to the video on GitHub collaboration. In this video, we're going to look at using the GitHub website and some of the terminology that we've gone over before and some new terminology. And then we're going to look at the working with the command line a little bit. All right, so let me go a little fast, and if you have to pause the video, then you should do that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how forking works. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new repository, and this is going to be collab 851. And I'm just making a repository, and I'm initializing with the GitHub README and a git ignore, and I'm going to add the MIT license here and create the repository. So what I want you to notice is up here in the corner, so here where it says fork, what we're going to do is fork this repository. And so the two types of collaboration we're going to look at is cloning and forking. First, we're going to do forking. Forking is basically where we take a copy of the repository and move it to our own account and maintain the ability to contribute changes back to the forked repository or the original repository through pull requests. And that's what we're going to be looking at right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click fork, and I have different accounts on mine. You should just get yours to fork to your own account, but I'm going to fork it to the NGIT account here. And when I do that, it's basically going to work the same way as yours when you fork it to your own account. So here I have, this is the user ID, this is the NGIT WAS, and then here is the repository collab 851, and you can see that it was forked from KW3939 collab 851. If I go back to the original repository, we can see that there's a 1 for, if I click on that, that's going to show me that it's been forked. So this is the original one, and then this is the NJT WAS. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make a change on your forked repository and send it back to the original one. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go to this repository, and we're going to make a branch, because every time we make a change we should make a branch. So we're going to make feature 1 branch. I'm going to click this, and once I have feature 1, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to edit the README, and I'm going to add some text here. Just go dash feature 1, and then in GitHub you could actually create a new branch, but I'm not. I'm just going to use my feature 1 branch because I already made it. Updated README. Now I'm going to click here, and I'm on the master branch, and it says collab 851, and then I can switch on to the feature branch, and I can have collab 851 feature. Now here what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go back to the original repository. So imagine you're at work and you took the original work that was done, the collab 851, and forked it to your own, did some work, and then you want to submit the work back to your supervisor or your partner that was controlling the main repository, what they call the trunk, the main repository. So what I would do is I would open up a pull request, and pull request is basically like a notification that tells someone that you want to merge your code into theirs. So I click on pull request, and I'm on the original one, the KW3939. I'm going to open up a new pull request, and here's the trick. You have to click on compare across forks right here. And what I can do here is, see the arrow shows me that it's going from this repository to master. I'm going to switch this to the NJTWAS, and then I'm going to switch the branch to feature 1. And this is going to allow me to merge the request. So I'm going to click on pull request, and it's going to create a request, and it says these branches can be merged automatically, and then I'm going to create the pull request. And here I can see that I have a pull request created. If we go back to the other screen, because I have the write permission to this repository, I could merge it automatically, but I'm just going to click on pull request, and see that's the one that I just made. I would see this if someone else had forked it and sent it back to me. I would see this, and I'd be like, oh, so this other person wants to merge a pull request. So I click on it, and then I can check out the commits, and I would be able to see what had happened and updated the README, and I'd see that this was deleted and this was added, and I'd be like, okay, that's great. And then I could come back over here and click review changes, or say I was like, this is great, and then I could submit review, and then I could say merge pull request, and I confirm the merge, and then I would go back. Let's check the code on the original repository, and I would see that this is the change I made, the updated README, and then I'd have a commit for the merging of the pull request number 1, which is the first pull request, and I could click on that, and it would take me to the original pull request information. Okay, so if now let's say I was on the original repository, so I'm on the original repository, and some work was done here, I'm gonna go and edit this. Actually, let's see, I'm gonna go and create a new branch, and I'm gonna call it feature 2. This is on the original repository, and what I'm gonna want to do is take this change and bring it into the forked repository. So I'm on feature 2 branch, and I would edit this, and I could say this is feature 2, and then I'm gonna commit directly on the feature 2 branch, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna click on where it says forks here, because I'm gonna get, that's gonna let me get back to the forked version. And then I could say, okay, well, let's open up a pull request here, and you could see your most recently pushed branches, and then this is like some changes. It's sort of notifying me that the original one, the KW39 feature 2, has had a change, and I'm just going to do it manually. I'm just going to say new pull request, and you see I got base branch, master of I'm going to switch this off so that I'm going to take from, this is where it's going. I'm going to click on compare across forks, and then I'm going to say this is the collab 851, so that's the one I made the change, and you see that's the feature 2, so that's the one change we just made. So I'm going to take the feature 2 branch and I'm going to merge it into my master branch of the forked version. So I can create pull request and then create pull request. And this doesn't have any merge conflicts. And basically a merge conflict is whenever the changes are, there's been some changes and those changes haven't been merged to a particular branch, and what happens is you end up having to manually change those. So I'm gonna merge the pull request and confirm the merge. And so once I confirm the merge, then I can see that I have, this is the pull request I made on my own branch. This is the pull request that came from my branch, from my original branch into the new branch. And so basically, you can take a fork and you can merge it. Like you can take code from one fork and then merge it into another, and you can take that same fork and merge the code back into it. So you can think of forks as like bidirectional merging. So you can merge back and forth between copies of the program. The basic idea is you fork it, that's when you start the project, then you get a problem or get a ticket or something. Then when you get the ticket, you branch it, you commit it. After you commit it on the branch, then you send a pull request to notify somebody that you want to merge your code in, and then they merge the code. And after they merge the code, what you're going to want to do is sync to master. So before you start work, you always want to sync to master. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go back to NJT collab 851, and I'm going to create a pull request here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my NJTWAS here and compare across forks. So I got NJTWAS and then, oops, and I'm going to merge KW3939 and let me see here, collab base branch, that's the collab, and I'm gonna what I want to do is I want to cause a merge conflict. So these are all good, and let me see a feature 2. So everything's up to date there, and yeah, these are all in line. So let's try something here. So I'm gonna go back to collab 851, and so this one hasn't been merged. So I'm gonna compare this and make a pull request here. And let's create a pull request. And it knows how to merge these because everything's been in line. So I'm gonna merge the pull request. And I'm going to go back to the code here. So this has all been updated. Master's all updated. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually do something we shouldn't do, which is edit directly on the master. So I'm going to do a feature 3 here. And then I'm going to actually do another commit here. And so I got another commit. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to go over to the fork, and I'm going to try to merge those changes from its master. Because like if some work happened on master while after I had forked, what I'm going to need to do is take the pull request from to pull the new work in before I start working. See, let's do it this way. So I'm gonna do a new pull request, and then it's gonna say that collab 851 can, oops, let me see real quick, where was it? Yeah, so here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch my base branch to NJITWIS, compare across forks, and then I'm gonna take from collab, and we can actually merge these. So I'm going to create a pull request, and it'll merge, confirm it, and that'll merge into mine. But let's try to make a merge conflict. Let's do something like, basically what happens is I'm going to come back to collab 851. I'm gonna edit on master just to save time, but don't usually do this because you'll get merge conflicts. Another 2. I'm going to commit the changes here. All right, so I have a commit here. Then I'm going to come back over to my fork, and I'm not going to pull from master. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to edit right on master again, and I'm just going to say pound something going to conflict. And then I'm going to commit the changes. And see, I didn't pull from master, so I don't have the changes from master. Now let's see if we can merge this, which I don't think we can. So I'm going to pull request it. And see, now we can't automatically merge, you see, because master on KAW3939, or if I take NJTWAS, compare across forks, and see, if I'm trying to pull the changes, since I have basically the original repository has changes that are older than the ones that I have, it doesn't know what to do with the changes. See, what's going to happen is I want to take the changes from KW3939 and then merge them to mine. But I didn't pull from KW3939 first. So it's got changes that are not included in my repository. And since those changes are not included in my repository, and I've already made another commit, like I'm one commit ahead of the original repository, it's not going to let me merge, but it will let me create a pull request. And so I can create the pull request, and then what we're going to get is a merge conflict. And it's going to say this branch has conflicts that must be resolved. So we're going to click on resolve conflicts, and then you see it has, basically it's the text of the file, and what it's going to want me to do is edit, get rid of these arrows, and then just edit the file itself until I get it to where I want it. So I want all of these changes in here, and I could say something's going to conflict but not anymore. And then I mark it resolved, and then I commit the merge, and so now I'm gonna merge the pull request and confirm it. All right, and then I'm gonna look back at the commits that were done, and so we have a pull request number 3, and that's been merged. So basically the rule is every time you start work, you always have to pull from the master branch or whatever branch is the development branch. Sometimes you have a master and a development branch in your workflow, and the development branch will be where everybody's working, and master will be the currently used version in production. And but whatever branch you're supposed to be working from as a team, you pull from that branch before you start working to get all its commits. Then you do your work, you branch it, you do your work, you commit it, and then you make sure that while you were working, any changes that were done on the branch that you pulled from, those should be merged into your version or your branch that you've done your work on before you send the pull request. Because if you submit a pull request that is missing changes that have happened because things have changed while you were working on something, then you're going to be submitting merge conflicts to whoever is in charge of merging the code. And you don't want merge conflicts, because you can see what happens is that if you get a merge conflict, you have to manage the merge conflict manually, and you have to edit the code. So generally, the branching and pulling the changes from the copy that you want to work from is the standard procedure, so that it avoids merge conflicts, because merge conflicts can create problems, because maybe you don't know, maybe the person who you're submitting code to doesn't know what you were doing. Essentially, they don't know every line of code or whatever you were working on, but they need to make a new release, and they need to get your code merged into the main repository efficiently, and they don't want to go back and fix your code. All right, so because they don't want to fix your merge conflicts, what they'll do usually is send the work back to you and tell you, hey, you need to merge the changes from the master or the development branch or whatever you were working on, or whatever everybody was working on, and you need to merge those changes into yours, and then submit yours with all of the changes that were done while you were working on your project. So basically, you can think that you're constantly pulling from or taking code to merge into your own from the master or development branch of wherever you originally got your code from. So that's this process inside GitHub. Now, the next, and that's with forking. Now, what we're going to do with cloning is I'm going to start to use the command line, and I'm going to show you some of this done through the command line. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go back to the KW3939 collab, and I'm gonna go over to where it says clone or download. So here what I'm gonna do is clone with HTTPS. So I'm gonna need to copy this URL, and then I'm gonna open up a command prompt here, and I'm just going to type git to make sure I have git installed. If you don't have it installed, then you got to go install it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see if I can maybe make this a little bigger. Yeah, we can make this a little bigger. So the first command we're going to do is I'm just going to do a cd, which is change directory, and I'm going to change directory into my desktop. All right. And what I'm going to do, that's just my desktop folder, and I'm just going to type git clone, and I'm going to paste the URL in and hit enter. And what that's going to do is just go take a copy of it. Now cloning is going to be different than forking. So cloning is really a one-directional thing. The forking pretty much maintains the ability to have pull requests back and forth between the original and the child repository, or the child and the original. And this one, this is cloning, and in cloning, what happens is that we would all be working on the same repository. And what would happen is that I don't have another person to work with here, but we would still have pull requests and all those things. We could do the same things basically with forking, except it doesn't allow me to work on my own account. I have to add somebody as a collaborator here to give them access to the GitHub. So I would add this person, Buddy Man, but I'm not. And they would be able to be added to this repository, and they'd be able to create branches and commit code and basically use the repository like their own. Um, this is okay if you're working in a team that everybody obeys the rules, but the forking works well in a team that maybe you don't trust everybody, or you really have maybe a bigger team and you have a lot of people working, and you don't necessarily have the best communication between everybody. So cloning is a little bit faster to do things because people can do things for themselves, like the branching and merging and all that. But it also can get a little dirty because everybody can do anything they want. So you really have to trust everybody to do cloning. As in forking, the person who owns the original repository is the person who has to manage all the pull requests that go into it. So they maintain control of the repository so that people can't just stick commits in or merges without them approving it. So once I did the clone here, I'm going to do cd, and I'm going to go and do collab 851, and then what I'm going to do is do a git status. So let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see what the output's going to be. So I'm going to do a git status, and it's going to say this branch is up to date with origin master, nothing to commit. And so if I do a dir or an ls on a Mac, I can see that I have a README file, and on my desktop, what I can do here is I'm gonna edit the README file. So I'm just gonna actually come over here, and let's just make this a little smaller. And I'm going to open up the collab folder here because this is the folder we're working in. And here's what I'll do is I'll just push this down and put it down here. And so we got like, and so with this README file, all I got to do is just got to do a text edit. So I'm just going to open it, and with Windows, I'm going to select the program to edit it with, and I'm just going to use Notepad. And so here, I'm just going to copy this line here, just so we have a text change. And once I change this text, what you're going to see is if I do a git status, you see Git recognized that the README file had been edited and that it's in red. So if you read here, what it says, changes not staged for commit. So stage, so you can think of like if there was a bunch of actors and the files were little actors. If they were on stage, that means they're on for the commit. So you stage them for the commit. So staging, and you have to think about the difference between what we're going to do here and what we've done before is that I in GitHub didn't have to add the file to do the commit because we were only working with one file. But let's say you were working with two files. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to file save as, and then I'm just going to call it readme2, just so I have two files. But what if you had two files here, and if I do git status, it's going to say this file has been modified because readme was modified but not added, and readme2.txt is totally not tracked. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to do a git add, and then I'm going to type readme, and then I'm going to do a readme2 and this is going to put these two on the stage, and then I'm going to do a git status, and then see they're green, so it says modified is readme and new file is readme2. And then what I would do is a git commit -m and say my changes, and that's just the commit, and the -m means message. And let's see here, hold on. Sorry, needed double quotes. And we'll do a git status, and it's going to say that the working directory is clear. So that means that the files that have been modified have been committed and we're ready to go on the next task. So what I would want to do is I would then want to do a git push. See, what we're going to want to do is going to send these changes up to GitHub. Now, when you're sending things, this is called a remote. So if I do git remote show, this is going to show that I have origin, and that's GitHub. So let's just take a look at it. Git remote show origin. And if we look at this, it's going to say remote origin. And origin is just like a bookmark name. It's just a friendly name to remember the URL. It's just like a bookmark in Internet Explorer or Chrome or whatever. And it's going to show me where the original GitHub repository that this came from. Now, if I want to send back to it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a git push origin, so that's the name of the remote, master, which is the name of the branch. And it might ask you to log in, but I've already logged in. And then that takes my changes, and then it's going to send them back up to GitHub. And I can go back here. And you see now I have my readme2 text file is up here, and the changes that I made were here. Now, let's show you how to do with this with branching, because we've already seen branching. I didn't want to confuse it with the remote. So let's do the whole process again, but with branching. So what I'm going to do now is go back to the command line and have this open up. And what I'm going to do here is, just to show you, I'm going to edit this on GitHub because I want to make a change. So I'm going to just say more changes. And because there was more changes on GitHub, this would be like if somebody else did commits or some code came into GitHub while you were working on your local. What you're going to need to do is we're going to need to do a git pull origin master. And what this is going to do is go out to GitHub and make a change. Now I'm going to do another change to show you something. So I'm going to do another change here and save it. And let's do a git status just to check this out. Git it didn't pick up the change. And I'll skip this for right now, but let me just do another git so when I did a git fetch, what it did is that it went out and said your branch is origin master by one commit and can be fast forwarded. So basically your branch is behind origin master. So basically when I did the commit, if I did a git fetch, it's going to say that the branch that I'm on, master, is one commit behind the master that's up on GitHub. See, it says your branch is behind origin master. Basically, git fetch will synchronize your account to the remote account, and if you're on a branch like master, it'll tell you if you're behind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, before I start working, I'm going to do a git pull origin master. That's going to update my GitHub git. So I do git status, and it's going to say your branch is up to date, so with origin / master, and everything is good. And then what I'm going to do is you can do a git. I'm going to show you two ways to do it. Git branch feature 4. So git branch feature 4 would create a new branch called feature 4. So I can do a git checkout feature 4. If I do a git status, I'm on branch feature 4. I can also do just, I'm going to make a feature 5 just to show you an alternate way to do this, a quick way. I can do git checkout -b for branch feature 5. and that would give me a um, a feature 5 branch. And then so basically git branch will make a new git branch, name of the branch will make a branch called that name. Git checkout by itself, or git checkout with a B dash B, will make a new branch and put you on that branch. I can switch branches by going to git checkout feature 4. So if I wanted to change the feature 4 branch, so basically git branch, name of the branch, creates a branch and doesn't put you in the new branch. A git checkout dash B makes a branch and puts you in the new branch. And git checkout without the B will make a new branch. I mean, we'll switch a branch. We'll switch from one branch to another. So when I switch from one branch to another, I'll do a dir, and we can see that we have a readme too. And let's just do something here. So just to show you what's happening here is if I do a readme to and I do a file, save as readme 3, and let's see if it'll show it up on Windows Explorer. I got a readme 3 now. I haven't done this in a while, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm going to do a git checkout. Actually, what I'm going to do is a git commit dash m. Oops, sorry. Git add readme 3. Do a git commit dash m quote added readme 3. Now what I want to show you is when we switch branches, after we have to do the add and the commit, and then we can switch branches. But let's look at the Internet Explorer and see the files change. So I'm going to do a git checkout feature 4. And let's just take a look at this. I might have been on feature 4. Let's do a git checkout master. And yeah, so when I went to master, so see the readme 3 disappeared. And then if I do a git checkout feature 4, it's going to come back. And see, it comes back. Because basically what Git's doing is, as fast as you're typing that git checkout, it's basically hiding. There's a hidden folder in there called .git, and that's like the hidden database. And that is hiding everything. And whenever you switch branches, it's switching the files out. All right. Now, if I have feature 4 branch, so I have feature 4 branch, so I could do a git push origin feature 4. So you just say origin and then the name of the branch you want to send, and we can go back to GitHub. And what you can see is that the feature 4 is up here. So it only has on GitHub whatever branch you've pushed. So we pushed feature 4, and I would be able to go to my pull request, and this is the last thing that was updated. So let's compare and pull request it real quick, do a shortcut. And this is able to be merged, so I'm going to create pull request. It's going to check if everything is able to be merged without any conflicts, and then we can merge it and confirm the merge, and then that would have master be updated. Okay, so we can see that we have our README files. And I'm going to come back to here and let's open this up. And let's do, since we didn't merge on this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a git checkout master. And then to update master, I'll do a git pull origin master. And then that downloaded README 3 and updated it onto master. Now, the next thing that we're going to look at is, so we got push, that means send it. Pull means to pull it down. A remote is a remote GitHub repository. You have some commands for remotes like git remote show. That lists all the remotes. Git remote rm origin. So this is like rm means remove, and I can get rid of origin. I can do a git remote add origin, and then if I wanted to add origin back, what I would do is come back over here and just get the URL. And you can, sometimes you have multiple GitHub repositories. I would just paste this, or wherever I wanted to add a GitHub repository. I could call it anything I want. I can call it origin. I can call it, I could have, so I could do, maybe we had two remotes. So like, remember we had, in the beginning, we had copied the remote, so I could do like my repo. And then I could come back over, and let's go back to the njtwas, and then I could take the URL here and add it. And if I did git remote show, I could have my repo. Now I could do git push my repo master, and so this would send it to, because I have write permissions to this. I'm gonna see if it's gonna let me send it. So it's not gonna let me send it. And because I don't have those changes updated on my remote. And we'll talk about how to overwrite changes and stuff in another lesson. But it won't let me overwrite that. I think I can do, let me try this real quick. It probably doesn't work off the top of my head. I get to look it up. But git push -f origin, or my repo master. Yeah. So what happened was the -f is force. So basically it's saying, hey, take my repo, don't care about the merges, don't care about anything, just make the changes. And so this would have forced all these changes up to my other repo. See, it went to 17 and it just skipped, it just replaced it. And so you see forced update. Let's see what else we got. Push, pull, we got branching. You got the different ways to branch. You can use checkout -b to branch, or git branch. And if we just do a git branch, it'll show me what branches I have. So we got a feature 4, feature 5, and a master. Now, if you wanted to push a feature branch, what we could do is do like a git push my repo feature 4. And then we'll see that on this repo, if I refresh this, I got a feature 4. Notice I don't have feature 5 because feature 5 wasn't pushed. I have local branches that could be my work branches, and then I have remote branches, which are ones that I would want to show people or save remotely. So this is basically the look at GitHub collaboration. Now, going back just to remember, whenever you'd want somebody else to basically be able to do these things on their own repository or your own repository, you can have collaborators added to it, or you could have teams. So there's basically GitHub provides you to be able to have the pull requests. It provides you to be able to manage access to the GitHub repository. So GitHub does a few things, but those aren't necessarily part of Git. That's GitHub. Like, so teams, collaborators, pull requests, that's all really part of Git, what it provides for people, and it's the management. And then the Git commands like git status, git branch, all those things are Git. Basically, what you see on the command line is Git, and we see in the websites really like GitHub. All right, so that wraps this up. So I hope this helped you with understanding GitHub, Git collaboration between forks and clones, and that you'll be able to work together with a partner or a small team using these lessons. Thank you very much, and good night.